Hey, what's up, everyone? My name is Jakob, as some of you may know. This is kind of a weird video for me to make, but I've been getting a lot of questions in my comment sections and on Instagram and other places, just over the years that I've been playing, just asking me a lot about how I learned, how I did this, how I did that. So I felt it might be the easiest just to create this video and explain to you guys how exactly I taught myself piano, and also just answer a few more questions. So I'm just gonna be doing this in a Q&A form. I asked you guys on Instagram and on YouTube to send in some questions. So yeah, I'm basically just gonna read those questions at random and answer them for you guys. I think I'm gonna start this off with definitely my most common question that I get, which is, how did you teach yourself to play the piano? So just a bit of backstory. When I was 7, I think, I did go to the Suzuki school in Reykjavik for 1 year. I didn't practice, I never played. I always, when I got home from school, just watched TV, did this and that, and never got any good. Then after 1 year, I finally, my dad just gave up and made me quit. But after that, I went and I learned accordion. And I think I learned the accordion for around 1 year. Maybe more, maybe less, I'm not sure. But then, as I say, after that I didn't practice, I didn't do anything, so I just quit. And I never learned how to read sheet music while I was playing the accordion. So I learned some of those pieces by ear. I never learned any of the note names, During that time I didn't have any passion for it. I played a bit, I learned some of the tunes. You can actually find some of these videos on YouTube. I'll see if I can find, there's one of me playing when I was, I think, 8 years old. So if I find it, I'll put it in the description. But basically, yeah, after that I just quit, really. I didn't play, I had no passion for music. I kind of picked it up from time to time. Then 7 years passed by, from 9 to 16, and I was just sitting at home and I was watching the anime Your Lie in April. I think many of you know it, and many of you actually told me that it's also the reason you started playing. I watched that anime and it really inspired me, not necessarily to play, but it just really made me understand romantic piano music. The main pieces in that anime is the Rachmaninoff Chrysler Liebeslied and the Chopin Ballad No. 1. After I watched it, I was just completely in love with that music, and I started listening more and more, and I went on YouTube and I just researched, and I learned who Chopin was, and I learned who all these great composers were. I just listened and listened and listened and got so deep into it, and I started watching videos from YouTube channels like Rosao and Cassia and Fire Piano and a bunch of these channels where they have, the piano where they play, and then all of the light notes come down. My mom had recently bought a Casio keyboard for my house. One day, for some reason, I decided to sit down and just decided to watch some of these videos and play. And the first song that I learned was actually the outro of an anime called Bunny Girl Senpai, or something. I think it's called that. But it's a really nice song that I tried to learn, and I could kind of play the melody, I guess. But after a while I learned that I just want to play the classical pieces, so I opened my iPad. I had an iPad at the time, and I opened a video from Rosao. I think it was Rosao, and he was playing the Chopin Nocturne, Opus 9 No. 2, and also the Für Elise by Beethoven. So those two pieces are the first classical pieces that I tried to learn. I struggled with them a lot. It took me months to learn them, and I didn't even finish Für Elise because it was too difficult for me. But the Chopin Nocturne, I did manage to kind of finish that, and you can actually find, there's a video on my channel, the 5-month progress. That's the oldest video that I've found so far of me playing. It's when my dad was recording me at the piano store. So this book right here is actually kind of how taught myself the piano. This is sheet music, and I'll insert pictures later. So this book right here is basically how I went up in levels when I was learning the piano. This is the Music Library Piano Scores. That is a book from Casio that came with my piano, and it's really beat up right now. But this has a lot of these basic famous pieces, like the Chopin Nocturne, Fantasy Impromptu, some Chopin Etudes, Waltzes, Schubert Moment Musical, whatever. And they're also ranked in difficulty with letters from A to D. I used this book to kind of navigate around which pieces to play, even though I didn't use the book exactly. So they have these levels, and I just went up the ladder in YouTube. So I just clicked on Rousseau, and I found the Chopin Nocturne, and I copied every single thing he did. So it's very important, if you want to do this, that you copy every fingering as well, because fingerings really matter when it comes to learning, because if you use the wrong fingerings, you won't get the right hand posture and all of those things. So that's the gist of it. Yeah, that's basically how I taught myself. So the next question is, how did you learn to read sheet music? That was definitely the most difficult part of this entire thing, because when I started reading, I knew where middle C was on the treble clef. I wrote up a piece of paper like this, so I'll insert a picture of it, where basically I have both the treble clef and the bass clef on a piece of paper, and I just had my sheet music, open it like this, and I had this piece of paper right beside it. I started like this, but I don't remember exactly which pieces it was, but I had the sheet music and I had the paper, and I think I was learning stuff like some Chopin preludes, the very easy ones, the number 7 and some of those, number 4. And basically I just went like that for a long time. I just looked back and forth to find each note, and after that I started remembering single notes, because of course I can't remember them all at the same time. So if I remember where this D is and this A and this B, then it's very easy, to count from them all the time. And just one after another I learned each note. And one of the other very common questions I get is also, how did you progress in sight reading? How did you get fast? So I am pretty fast at sight reading right now, I think. I'm not nothing crazy, but it's just practice, like everything else. If you want to get good at sight reading, you just gotta practice sight reading, and you just gotta pull up a book every single day of something that you haven't played before and just read through it. And when you're done doing that, just read through the next one. And there are many ways of sight reading. You can take a very difficult piece and kind of get it how it's supposed to be. Or the more effective one, in my opinion, is if you open up like a Chopin Nocturne or a Mozart Sonata or something that's a bit easier to read, and you just practice like you're not allowed to play the wrong notes, So you just play every single note exactly, no matter how long it takes to play the notes. You ignore the rhythm, you ignore everything really except the notes. And that's probably the most effective way, I think, to improve your sight reading, is just practicing that way. So the next question is, what do you do in free time, like hobbies? I don't really have any hobbies, to be honest. I really enjoy practicing, so I practice a lot. And when I get home, I definitely watch some TV shows and anime and stuff, but I don't really have much time to do a lot of stuff. But of course, I hang out with friends a bunch, and like I say, I watch TV shows and I just chill out. But mostly I usually just practice. How often do you practice with a teacher? Twice a week. Once with my main teacher and once with his assistant teacher. Which piece by Rachmaninoff is your favorite? It's probably his first piano concerto. It's definitely not his best, I think, but it's definitely my favorite, because I think there's a big difference between your favorite piece and which piece you think is best. For me, the best piece is probably his second concerto, or maybe his second sonata, or something like that. But my favorite is definitely number 1, because it has such a nice melody, and I just love the flow of it, and it's just it just touches me very deeply. How do you stay focused? I don't. I'm very unfocused when I practice. That's why I think I could have made a lot more progress if I just stayed focused, and I'm really improving on that right now. Just I leave my phone at home when I go to school, and usually not all the time, but I leave my phone at home and I just try and practice as much as I can, and I try to take breaks, but when I don't have my phone, I don't know what to do, so I just keep practicing. So yeah, I'm trying to improve my practicing little by little, but I think it's definitely improving a lot right now. What are some of your goals as a pianist? My overall goal is definitely just to become a concert pianist, someone who can just make a living from playing concerts. And if that doesn't happen, I don't really mind any other outcome. I just really like practicing. So I don't have like any super big goals. Of course, I want to play in Carnegie Hall and I want to play with the Berlin Phil, and I have a bunch of those goals, but those goals are definitely not something that I'm focusing on. It's more just that I just want to get better, and when I get better, of course, I'll be able to do all of those other things. How do you manage to stay motivated while practicing? I really love your covers, by the way. It's mainly just because I love the music so much. All of the pieces that I practice are pieces that I pick myself, and I just really enjoy practicing them. And I stay motivated by, let's say, if I'm unmotivated or I'm tired or I'm sick or something, I just simply don't practice. It's if I don't want to practice, I don't practice. I only practice when I want to practice, which maybe it doesn't work for everyone, but I've gone 3 or 4 days without practicing just because I didn't want to. But then on the 5th day, I make way more progress than I could have done if I pushed myself those 4 days. So that's kind of how I think it right now. Since you live in Iceland, will you study overseas in some other country later on? Yeah, or at least that's the plan. I hope I can. So next year, I think I will start the auditions, and I'm gonna try and go abroad in 2023 or 2024. I'm not sure which ones, and I also haven't picked a destination yet. Who's your favorite pianist? So this is also kind of like the favorite piece for me, where I have a special definition for who's my favorite and who's the best in my opinion. So the best pianists in my opinion are definitely Christian Zimmerman and Martha Argerich. They're just incredibly good players. But if we're gonna talk about favorite pianists, that would be Lang Lang. Like if I could pick a pianist to go to a concert with and even just have a chat with overall or meet, it would definitely be Lang Lang. He's just such an inspiration to me. He's one of the main reasons that I kept going. Of course not the only one, but just watching his performances, his passion, his love for music, and just his freedom overall when playing, I just completely love it. And there's no performer who can move me in a way that Lang Lang does. What material and videos did you use when you were self-taught? I'm just gonna create a list in the description for you guys. There are a lot of channels like Robert Estrin at Living Pianos, and then there's Josh Wright, and I really love the videos of Tone-Based Piano. They create a lot of masterclasses with famous pianists and teachers, and they make a bunch of videos that can help, I think, anyone at any level, even if you're a beginner or if you're a professional pianist. They have very, very useful videos and interviews that can help a lot of people. How many hours did you practice in a day, or do you practice in a day? It really depends on the day. Some days I'm free from when I wake up till when I go to sleep. So those days I might practice up to 8 or 10 hours maybe. It depends on how motivated I am or how tired and whatnot. But then on some days, of course, I can only get a few hours in because I have school and I have classes and lessons and all of those stuff. So here's a very important question. If you're practicing so much, don't you get injured? I do. So I don't think this is anything to be proud of course, but I've practiced a lot very incorrectly. To the point where I get very injured in the wrists, both of my wrists, and also both of my elbows. But this is something you can completely fix just with correct technique and posture and relaxation. So what helped me the most with my recent injury, which was the elbow pain, that thing that helped me the most was definitely the Taubman technique, something that I found on YouTube that's not too famous actually, that I haven't heard of before, but it really focuses on injuries especially, and I'll definitely link a video down below, but I don't want to get too in depth, and I don't want to talk too much about it, because of course I can't tell you guys if it's valid or not, because I haven't enough experience to tell you guys about that. But so far my elbow pain is almost completely gone, and my wrist pain, that was less of an issue. That was just because I was doing octaves, very fast octaves in the Liszt Funérailles. You can see the video on YouTube as well, where I was doing fast octaves in the left hand and I was just completely stiff. Everything was like a rock, and that is what injured my wrists. But I'm very grateful that I did get injured. I think I'm one of the very few people that can say that, but these injuries are the reason that I can play what I play right now, because if I didn't get injured, I would still be playing the octaves with tense wrists, and I would still have bad posture, and I would be sitting too high on the piano, and all of these different things that the injuries made me learn to fix. So yeah, this will be the end of this Q&A, or just me ranting, I guess. But thank you guys for coming, and thank you guys for supporting me. And I also wanted to let you guys know that you can now become members on my channel. This is of course completely up to you, but you can support me further by pressing the join button beside my channel name, and you'll become a member on my channel, and you'll get a special name, and you'll get some emojis and stuff, but it's of course completely optional if you want to. But anyway, other than that, thank you guys for watching. I hope you found this video useful. I hope some of you guys can use this to teach yourself piano, and definitely try and get a teacher if you can. If not, totally manageable. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Bye.